my friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Zita, and on my channel I do DIYs and makeovers on a budget. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at OakWell Home. So let's get started on today's DIYs and see what I've created. So for my next DIY here, I'm going to make some wooden trees out of some scrap wood that I had laying around that wasn't really straight. It had a curvature to it, so it worked perfectly for these trees that I wanted to make. So I cut 3 different sizes, large, medium, and small, and so I'm gonna use my jigsaw to cut out these trees. And don't let the tools intimidate you guys. Just, make sure you practice safety. Like I have my safety glasses on here, so no wood gets in my eyes, so make sure you're doing that. So here I'm cutting out the trees that I measured out, and this is what I've got. I've got 3 different sizes from small to large. So now I'm just going to sand them down a bit just to smooth them out around the edges. And once I have that done, I'm going to use some Mod Podge to apply some fabric. And the fabric that I'm using here are placemats from the Dollar Tree. Actually, no, these are from the Dollarama. So if you don't live in Canada, I don't know if you could find these type of placemats at your Dollar Tree in the States, but these are from the Dollarama, and I got 3 different styles of fabric. So I'm going to put a white and a red, as you can see here. I'm going to put that on the large one, and I traced around my wood with a pen and marked out where I need to cut. And I did apply fabric to the front and the back. And a couple of the pieces on the back, I applied the fabric, I cut the fabric on a bias. So once you see that, let me know in the comments whether you like the straight across kind of look or if you like it cut on a bias. So here I'm putting some Mod Podge in a little container, and I'm going to apply that to the wood and then apply my fabric. Now you can apply fabric to the, or you can apply Mod Podge to the top of the fabric as well, but I didn't do that. I just wanted the brightness of the fabric. I think when you apply the Mod Podge to the top of the fabric, it's just gonna dull the fabric a little bit. So I didn't apply the Mod Podge to the top, I just put it on the bottom. So here I've cut out a green placemat, apply that to the middle one, and then I'm going to cut out my 3rd placemat and apply that to the smallest one. Now guys, if you're making these and you want to use napkins or something like that, I would suggest applying your Mod Podge from the center and working out on each side. With the fabric, I didn't really have to do that because the fabric is much easier to work with, but with napkins you could probably rip the napkin. I find for myself anyway that it's easier to work from the center out with when you're working with napkins or decoupage paper because it's thinner. But the fabric, I just applied the Mod Podge straight to the wood and then just put the fabric over the top. So here I'm cutting out my 3rd piece for the smallest tree. What do you guys think of these placemats? Aren't they awesome? You could do all the same color as well, but I wanted to go the 3 different colors. And there's so many different ways of making these trees over. Like you could do fabric, you could do decoupage paper, you could do napkins, you could do sweaters, paper, you could do music paper or a newspaper. So there's all sorts of ways you could dress these up. Let me know in the comments how you would have dressed these up. Would you use fabric or would you use some other method? Aren't they beautiful, guys? Simple to make and they look really high-end. I'm loving these. And you could also put sticks on the bottom of these and make them look taller. I chose that method. So this is what the wood looked like, and now they look 100% better. They look like high-end Christmas decor that you would buy in an expensive store. Here I have the buffalo check plaid on my tray as well. My next DIY here, I'm going to be making some cone Christmas trees. So right here I'm using a paper to shape out the cone first. I'm just applying some tape to shape it out and hold it in place. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on the top there as well where the hole is, because I'm going to be using a foam to spray inside of these, so to make them more solid. So here I'm just shaping them out. So this is the foam that I'm using, type foam, and this is used for pipes and stuff for plumbers, I believe. I've never used it for this. I'm using it for Christmas trees. And it does come with that straw, and it screws on, so it'll come it won't come like that. You have to screw it on and then just shake it up and make sure your straw is like way down towards the end of the cone. So this was my first time using this, guys, and I filled it right to the top, not realizing that it expands quite a bit. So you'll see here later how much it expands. So I saw it expanding as the first one was sitting there, so I didn't put as much in the second and the third, but close to the top, but not quite. And it still overflowed quite a bit. And you'll see that coming up here. And as you'll see here, I'm putting that straw in the bottom there because I didn't put my straw down far enough when I was going inside there, so the top wouldn't have been solid. So I just took off the tape at the bottom and sprayed it in from the bottom. So here's the next day. I did let this dry overnight. I think the can says 4 hours or something like that. So they look like ice cream cones right there. So I did cut that off with an X-Acto knife, and now I have some nice solid cones for myself. So right here I picked up this yarn at the dollar store, and I did go a different route after this, but I just wanted you to see what the green wool looked like with the red. I was going to do all three with a green and a red, but I went a different route because this wool was very thin, and I remember that I had some thicker wool laying around that had some sparkle in it, so I went with that. But I wanted you to see what that looked like with the green, and then I applied some little felt balls to it. So this is the other wool that I found that I had on hand, and this one is a silver, a black, and a white, and it had some sparkly thread in there. Doesn't that look beautiful? I love it. And it was much quicker and much easier to apply than the green one. So I just applied the black and silver over the green 2 green that I already had done there. And then the last one I applied the silver and black and gray there. Don't they look beautiful? I love these. These were so simple to make. So if you guys haven't tried any of that type foam for any of your projects, this is one project that you could use it for, to make some Christmas trees. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of these? Do you like the green, or do you like this black and silver and white? So for this next DIY, it's nice and simple. I have this piece of scrap wood laying around. So I'm just using this sheet of snow-like material that I got at the Dollar Tree. It has a little bit of sparkle in there too. And now I'm just using some bottle brush trees that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a green and a white on this piece. And you could hot glue this snow down to the wood if you're, making this for resale. But I'm just making it for myself, so I'm just gonna put the sheet of snow, just wrap it around the wood. And I didn't hot glue it down. And same with the trees. If you're doing this for resale, you could hot glue the trees down to the snow, or even cut like a slit in the snow and just slide the trees in underneath that snow. So I'm just arranging my trees here the way I want them, and I am gonna put this little red truck with the green tree in the back. That red truck and green tree is everywhere this year. I see it on so many shelves and in so many projects. I love it though, and it kind of brightens it up. It looks Christmassy, it looks nostalgic. What do you guys think? So this is quick and easy and done. Taking over this thrifted cupboard door that I picked up from the Habitat for Humanity, and I have some gift tissue paper that I picked up at a dollar store that has probably been in my stash for probably 15 or more years, that I was using for Christmas gifts. But I kept one of these tissue papers for myself because I loved it so much. It has a snowman on it, which you'll see coming up here. So this cupboard door I thrifted from the Habitat for Humanity, like I said, and it wasn't painted or anything, had no knob holes in it, so it was perfect to make a sign with. So I'm going to be making this beautiful Christmas sign for you today. First, I'm going to be painting out the center with a white chalk paint, and I'm just putting the tape around there so I don't get any on the outer edges of the cupboard door, the frame portion, which I'm going to paint a different color. So this is homemade chalk paint that I'm using, guys. So if you haven't tried homemade chalk paint before, I'll leave that video link in my description box, and you can try making it for yourself, and it's so much less expensive. So I put about 2 coats of chalk paint on this, and now I'm giving it a light sanding with a sanding sponge, and then I'm going to wipe away that dust. So once that's dry, I'm going to take off the tape and Then I'm going to put some more tape on it on the inside here, some thicker tape, because knowing myself, I am going to paint outside the lines. So I'm taping it up here, and I'm going to put some paper down in the middle so I don't get any paint that I'm going to be using here on the inside portion of this sign. So once I have that all taped down, I'm going to be using a darker color for the frame. So I'm making sure every little thing is covered up there, because if there's a space, my paintbrush will find it. So I'm putting some paper down too. The tape can't be thick enough for me. So I'm using this Fusion Midnight Blue. It's a beautiful navy color, and I'm loving it. So I think I only put a couple of coats of this on, but you could probably get away with one coat, because this Fusion paint gives you really awesome coverage. What do you think of this blue color, guys? It's gonna look awesome with the tissue paper that I'm gonna put on in the center, that I'm gonna Mod Podge on. So like I said, I did put 2 coats of this on, but I could have gotten away probably with one, because this Fusion paint gives awesome coverage. So if you haven't tried this Fusion paint before, guys, give it a try. So once I have that all painted up and it's dry, I gave that a light sanding with my sanding sponge as well. And then gave it a wipe down and wiped away that dust. So you'll want to do that, guys, so don't leave any dust on your work before you decoupage. So now that that's dried, I'm taking the tape off, and I'm ready to do my decoupaging of my beautiful tissue paper here. This is so gorgeous, guys. I kept this just because I love the print. I was like, I want to do something with this one day. I just wanted to look at it every Christmas. And this is, you know, I wasn't doing any decoupage back in the day. So when I was cleaning up my Christmas stuff, I found this and I thought, I am going to use this for a sign. This is going to be so beautiful. Now, guys, if I had my time back, like I said, this has been in a package for a while, so you got some creases going on here. So I wish I kind of would have ironed this out, like you put your parchment paper over the tissue paper and iron it out, like so it doesn't have any creases, but I'll do that the next time. So if you guys are going to be using some, you know, I got this from the dollar store years ago, so if you're going to be using something like this and there's creases in it, maybe iron it out first, but make sure you put your parchment paper over the top so you don't burn the paper. So here I'm cutting out my tissue paper, and this is not really thin, but it's not overly thick either, so you want to be careful. And you can also use decoupage paper or napkins as well. Now, I also want to try in the future, like applying my Mod Podge first, let it dry overnight, and then putting my decoupage paper or dollar store tissue paper like I have here, and then using the iron. I haven't tried that method yet, and I want to try it, and I think it would have worked really well for this sign. So right here, I've put some Mod Podge down, and I'm using a disposable shower cap that I got from the dollar store. The plastic on that is really smooth, guys, so it's really nice for doing decoupage, because it's not, you know, a really heavy, thick kind of bag that is gonna rip your paper. This plastic is really soft. So I'm gonna go all the way across, like a little bit at a time, and then press down the paper with my shower cap, or you can use, you know, some saran wrap as well, or a soft bag if you have one, soft plastic bag. So I'm just going to keep working my way down until everything is applied. And then I'm going to let that dry overnight, guys. I'm not going to apply my top coat right away, because I don't know. I find it better to let it dry overnight. But, you know, sometimes you don't always have time to do that when you're trying to get projects done, especially when you're doing YouTube videos, or, you know, you want to get something done for a gift for someone. You don't have time to let it dry overnight. But I had time to let this dry overnight, and then I applied my top coat the next day. Now, as you can see here in the corner, there's a little bit of white showing like at the top, so I'm going to apply some of that navy color paint later on. And you'll see later on too that I did kind of rip the paper a little bit while I was sanding it. But here I'm cutting off any of the excess paper, and I'm applying a little bit of that navy paint there in the corner. And now I'm going to apply some of these IOD stamps before I put my top coat of Mod Podge on as well. So there's some room there in the bottom of this tissue paper, so I thought it would be nice to put something there. So I'm putting Let It Snow, since it's snowing in this beautiful picture. Isn't it gorgeous? I just absolutely love this tissue paper. I'm not surprised that I kept it. It's really fun. And I'm keeping this sign for myself, guys. I'm not going to sell it. So I'm spelling out Let It Snow, and I'm placing it where I want on the picture. And then I'm using my, what do you call this here? This plastic mat for sticking these stamps on. The name has escaped me right now. What the heck is this called, guys? I've lost my memory for a second. Anyway, you see what it is. It's the plastic grid for applying stamps. So I'm making sure it's pressed on there good. And then I'm using a navy ink that's going to tie in nicely with the navy in the picture. And then I'm going to stamp that down. And now I'm wiping off any excess ink on the outside of the words there before I stick it down. Now, guys, and you notice there where it says let, and then the T is missing because there's only, you know, one of each letter. So I'll have to apply that T afterwards. And I applied it a little too close, but it still turned out okay. I'm using a block here to apply the T. It gets a little closer than the other letters, but it still looks good. So, and guys, don't apply your Mod Podge or your sealer on top of this ink before it dries, because it will smear. I can guarantee you that, because I did it in another project recently that I applied ink to, and then I waited till the next day, actually close to 24 hours, but the inks smeared when I put the Mod Podge on it. So this did not, and maybe it's a different type of ink that I used that made the other one smear. So here I'm using an X-Acto knife to get off that excess tissue paper in the corner, but I guess some of it was stuck with the Mod Podge pretty good there, and I ripped off some of the paper there on the side with my sanding block. So I'm just gonna paint that in with some of the navy paint too, which, you know, turned out good because it kind of blends in nicely, so it was okay. I didn't ruin it, but so just be careful of that, guys. And if you have any tips for me on how I can prevent that from happening, because it was really hard to get off there with that little knife there that I had. It was really tough. Like, it was, I guess it was stuck to the sides with some of the Mod Podge. That's why I started using the sanding block. So if you guys have any tips for me, let me know in the comments what will be a better way for me to do that. You know, I've made signs before. I haven't had that much trouble, but maybe I was sanding a little too hard. I don't know. So this is the next day. I'm applying my top coat of Mod Podge, guys, and it did not smear that ink, so I let that dry for over 24 hours. So I'm not sure if different inks will give you different results or not, but if not, you could also spray a little Rust-Oleum clear coat on top of that ink before you put, and then let it dry before you put your Mod Podge on. That way you know it's not going to smear. So now, guys, I'm going to apply some IOD snowflakes on the top there and on the frame, and it's my first time using these snowflake molds. I think this one is called Blitz. Too much cornstarch came out there, so you're going to want to put some cornstarch in these so your clay doesn't stick. And I'll have to empty some of that out because it too much spilled out there. So you just need a little bit. So you'll see me dump some of that out. Now I'm just pressing my clay in, and once I have it pressed in and it's in all the little nooks and crannies of the design, snowflake design there, I'm going to scrape that off with a palette knife. Now you don't have to do that because sometimes you can kind of make a little scoop in it if you go down too low, like you'll see me do there. I add some more clay in there. You can just do this with your fingers too. So I'm gonna place some of these snowflakes on my frame in different areas, and I'm actually gonna glue this down while it's still you know, when I just pull it out of the mold, instead of letting it dry and then applying it to my frame. I am going to apply it while it's still wet. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell to get notified when I post new videos. I have some more awesome Christmas videos coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you click that notification bell. And also don't forget to give me a like and a comment, and let me know how you like this project so far and what you think of the final result. So here I'm just placing my molds, and like I said, I still wanted to place this while it was wet and not let it dry right off the bat, because I am placing one of these snowflakes over the frame, so it needs to mold into the frame. And these are a little delicate when you take them out, so you'll see me use my little artist spatula here to kind of lift them up to put some glue on them. So I'm just placing them where I want, and then I am going to put some, I think I put some wood glue on the back, and they're holding up really well. And I'm just adding some more snowflakes there, so I'm just pressing some more down into my molds. And guys, if you haven't tried these molds, give them a try. They're awesome. Such beautiful designs. Like, look at the detail on these snowflakes. And I just recently started using some of the IOD molds. I've got one of the trimming molds too, which I've used. So have you guys tried any of these molds? Let me know in the comments, what do you think of them? And if you've tried any other brands. Because these can get a little bit expensive, but they're going to last you a long time. Like, you'll probably have these as long as you're crafting, because they're made very, very well. If you're hearing some noises there in the background, guys, that's my dog. He likes to get active while I am editing videos. Anyone else have that experience? Yeah, he wants to jump in my arms. He wants me to play with them. So those little noises you hear in the background, that's my beautiful dog, Sam. He's a little cutie. You probably will see him in some of my videos walking around or laying next to me. So here I'm putting on some wood glue and a little hot glue and placing it over my frame, and I'm scooping those little ones up with my little spatula there and applying the wood glue and putting them in place. Now most of these little ones I just used the wood glue because they were so tiny and it worked out really well. After I've done this, I'm going to let it dry overnight and let it harden up like it has here. And now I'm going to put some clear wax on all of these snowflakes, and just because I'm going to be using some antiquing wax on top of this, so I'm using the clear wax first. Just it's easier to wipe away any of your mistakes if you don't like the darker colors. Now I'm applying some white wax on them. Again, I was scared that it was the antiquing wax I'm going to put on next was going to be really dark on here, so that's why I put the clear and the white on there first. So here's the antiquing wax, and I'm using a brush. And at first I started out with a rag, but I thought the brush was a little easier. So I'm just putting it on the snowflakes. I'm trying not to get any outside. That's what it looks like. It's bringing out all that beautiful detail of the snowflakes. And now, guys, I'm going to use a gold on top of this. And oh my gosh, it turned out so beautiful. It ties in so nicely with the lighter colors of this picture, like the snowman and the snow, because it kind of looks like it has an antique-y look. So the gold just really takes this piece up a notch. And then I'm going to go around the inside and outside of the frame, and then I take a little brush also, guys, and go down along the side of the picture on the inside. And once all that was dry, I gave it a nice coat of that clear wax on the whole piece, guys. And this piece is done, and it's so gorgeous. I hope it gives you guys inspiration to create your own Christmas sign with some beautiful decoupage paper or napkins or dollar store tissue paper like I used here. So this is what it looks like. Some Christmas DIYs for you guys. I picked up this wood blank from my local Dollarama, and you can probably pick those up from the Dollar Tree as well. And these beautiful napkins here that say it's the most wonderful time of year, I picked these up at Walmart. They're beautiful, so you can make 4 signs from one napkin, guys. And these napkins were extra large, so they fit this wood blank perfectly. And I think this wood blank is an 8x8, I believe. So make sure you get all your plies of napkins off, guys. Some are 2 ply, some are 3 ply, so make sure you get all the plies off, or else your DIY is not going to work out. So once I painted my wood blank with some homemade chalk paint, I gave it a sanding once it was dry, and then I wiped away that dust and my workspace. And now I'm going to put my napkin on my painted frame. And you're going to paint it white, guys, so the picture on the napkin shows up really nice and bright. So I'm putting my Mod Podge on, and I start from the center out, and once I have a little bit of Mod Podge on, then I'm using this disposable shower cap that I pick up from the Dollarama that has a really soft plastic. Now you can use a really soft plastic bag as well to do this, or some saran wrap. And I smooth that out and try to get all the wrinkles out as best as I can with my little plastic shower cap there. So I keep working my way down and putting a little bit of Mod Podge on, and then using my plastic shower cap to smooth it out until I have it all applied. And then once that's done, I do let it dry, guys. I put some Mod Podge on top, and once the Mod Podge is dry, I sand it with a fine sanding block to get all that excess napkin off. And you'll see me here, guys. I thought I didn't Mod Podge over the tops, and I already did. So this piece got 2 top coats of Mod Podge. So now I thought this piece needed something else. So I'm using these beautiful IOD vintage texture is what these pieces are called. Now I've already cut them in 4s here because there's 4 different textures in this pack. So I left it on the plastic that was on there, and that way it's easy to apply. And before you use these, guys, you're going to want to give them a light sanding with a 250 or 200 sand block, or a fine sandpaper. You're going to want to sand them before you apply your ink. So I'm applying a silver ink here, guys, that I picked up at the dollar store. And I'm applying it all over my piece here, and this looks awesome, guys. I am loving this. So there's 4 different textures in this package, like I said. So I'm just kind of applying it everywhere, and then once that's on there, you're going to want to let that ink dry. I'm kind of going around the edges there too to frame my piece out with the ink pad. And I do have some silver paint that I picked up from the dollar store as well, so I'm going to go around the edges here and give it some more silver and just frame it out. Now I did take that outside and spray my ink on top too and let the ink dry, and this is what it turned out like, guys. Isn't this gorgeous? From a napkin, decoupage, and you got a beautiful Christmas sign for yourself. Look at that stamped texture on there. Doesn't that look gorgeous? This is a simple DIY, guys, and it doesn't cost that much. So go out and get yourself a blank frame from the dollar store, some napkins, and decoupage yourself a beautiful Christmas DIY. So the next DIY here, I'm using some scrap wood that I had laying around. If you don't have a saw or a cutter, you can use a hand saw. First, I'm measuring out my scrap piece of wood here with a ruler. I have an idea of how big I want this Christmas tree to be, and this is going to be a days until Christmas tree, guys, that you can make for yourself or for your kids. I'm giving this piece to my little niece so she can count down to Christmas, until Santa comes. So this is how big my piece of scrap wood was. So I'm just measuring it out to make sure I can get a Christmas tree out of this piece here. So I'm using my miter saw here, my miter box, to cut down my scrap pieces of wood, and I'm measuring it out. Once I cut through my wood, I take that next piece and measure it so I can cut it on the 45-degree angle so you can get your tree shape. So guys, if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I have a lot of great Christmas DIYs coming up, and don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. That way YouTube will notify you when I post my videos. So I've cut all my pieces. I'm just cutting my last pieces there. Once these are all cut, guys, you're going to want to sand the sides so there's, so it's nice and smooth and not going to get any nicks and cuts. So I did that with all my pieces, sanded them down. And once that was done, I'm just going to start gluing the pieces together with some wood glue. Now, one of these slats, these are trimming pieces, guys, that I picked up for free actually at my local hardware store that they had sitting there. So I didn't even pay anything for this wood. So go check your local hardware stores to see if they have any scrap wood in their scrap bin. So like I said, these were trimming pieces. So one piece was not flat, so it was not sitting well, and it was not staying with the wood glue. So I also took my staple gun and stapled those pieces on the back. But then I took a dollar store popsicle stick, cut it down, and made it fit my Christmas tree. And then I put some wood glue on that and glued it to my tree to keep it more stable. Now I'm going to paint it white. So I was going to go with white and then just outline it in the green, but after I painted it, guys, I changed my mind and I painted it green. So you'll see that coming up. So this is another piece of scrap wood that I have that I'm going to use as my base for the Christmas tree. And I painted that out. I did leave that portion white. So here I'm painting my Christmas tree green. And that is a hunter green that I picked up from the dollar store. And I gave that a couple of coats of paint. And now I'm going to paint my star that I found at the dollar store as well. I'm using this Fusion Ultra Grip, and it's a metal star, so you're going to want to put something on top of that because paint does not want to stick to metal. So I use the Fusion Ultra Grip. And now that my Christmas tree is painted and the base is painted, I'm using my nail gun here, guys. You're going to want to measure out how long your brad nails need to be before you nail them in there. Make sure you're practicing safety. Put your safety goggles on before you're nailing, and don't put your battery in until you want to nail your piece, guys. And once you're finished nailing your piece, take the battery out because you do not want kids getting a hold of these tools and injure themselves. So practice safety with tools. You can use them, guys, but respect them. Now I'm nailing my brad nails into the bottom. I put some wood glue on, but I want to make sure it's stable, that it doesn't fall apart. So I'm just, making it more stable with my brad nails. And you're going to want to be careful while you put those brad nails, guys, because I'm going to show you here one of the nails kind of came out the side. So make sure your fingers are not in the way. So there's that brad nail. I do take that off because I did, with my pliers, because I don't want any sharp things on this, when I give this to my niece. So now I'm taking my IOD stamps, and these stamps are called letterpress. They're awesome, guys. There's 3 different sets of alphabet and, like exclamation points and stuff like that in there that you can use for different projects. I'm using this top one, and it turns out beautiful. So once I get my letters spelled out there, now sometimes there's not enough letters, so you're going to need to go back in and fill out your word. So I'm putting some white ink on my letters here on my grid paper, my thin mount, and I'm going to place it where I want it, and it just barely fit there. So you're going to need to, space out your words so everything fits in the space that you need. And look how awesome this turns out, guys. This letterpress stamps, you're going to get a lot of use out of that. So then I just take that S that I needed, that extra S, and I put some ink on that and just put it in place, and there it is. So I'm going to spell out all the words that I need, days until Christmas, and then at the top I'm going to put that star, and that's where she can write in the how many days are left. So I'm taking my thin mount there again, putting my ink on it, and centering it out on my Christmas tree. And you're going to want to press this in firmly, guys, but not too heavy because you don't want the ink to, you know, disperse out around your letters. And I went in there a second time and put that stamp in there, but sometimes you can, if you're doing that, you're taking a risk that you might not get your letters lined up. So then I'm gluing my star down, and guys, I painted it with the Fusion Ultra Grip first because I put some chalk paint on here. This is spray chalk paint, so I didn't get this on video. I took it outside and gave it a coat of spray chalk paint, and then just let that dry overnight. And then I also took my clear matte coat, Rust-Oleum clear coat, and sprayed that ink so it didn't smear. And I'm taking some dollar store wooden snowflakes here and putting it on. Now I think this needed something else, so I had some gold ink, and I do have some gold paint too, but I'm outlining this piece with some of the gold ink. And like I said, I sprayed that those words, that ink, with the clear Rust-Oleum spray, so it's not gonna smear. And I did let it dry overnight. So here I'm taking my gold paint and putting some more gold accents on here, that green, because I thought it needed something else, and it turns out so beautiful. And I also outlined the star and the base in the gold as well, just to tie everything in, guys. And it turns out beautiful. And you're going to want to season your chalk, guys, because if you write directly on that chalk paint, it's going to stain it. So you'll need to season it with the chalk, and you'll see me doing that coming up here, where I take a piece of chalk and go over that star with the chalk to season it, and then you can write on it and then erase it, and you're not gonna, you know, it's not gonna stain with that first writing that you put on there if you did not season it. So this is what it looked like before, guys, and here's what it looks like after, all ready for my niece to do her countdown to Santa. What do you think of this one, guys? Let me know in the comments.